Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and opening prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We pray. Heavenly Father, we come before you today grateful for the opportunity to gather in service to our community. Thank you for the blessings of life, liberty, and the institutions that govern us, including the home, family, church, and government. We acknowledge you as the true and living God, the creator of all things, who holds our very breath in your hands. In you we live, move, and have our being. We pray for this board of supervisors. Grant us wisdom to face the challenges before us, insights into the needs of our communities, and discernment to make decisions that benefit all. Thank you for the laws that keep us safe and bring peace to our land. May we remember that there is a law higher than any human law, your law, found in your word, which is the foundation on which our nation was built. Most of all, we thank you for Jesus Christ, the King of Kings and Lord of Lords, who died on the cross for our sins and rose from the dead, defeating death and reigning over all. Bless this meeting of the Kewaunee County Board of Supervisors today. May all decisions be guided by your wisdom, and may your glory be reflected in all that is done here. In Jesus' name, amen. All right. Okay, so in case you didn't catch the previous announcement, everything is going to be done without the voting pads tonight. So you'll have to make sure that you register your votes loudly enough for the clerk to hear. So roll call. We are Supervisor Gillett asked to be excused. Supervisor Patricia. Everyone else is here. All right. I would be looking for a motion to approve the agenda here this evening. Supervisor Swagel, motion, second by Supervisor Ortlieb. Any discussion of that motion? All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye. Opposed? Fabulous. Motion carries. Would entertain a motion to approve the minutes from Supervisor Baker and second by Supervisor Shelton. Is there any discussion of that motion? All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Citizens input, do we have anyone? No one has signed up. Is there anyone who wishes to speak to the board? Is there anyone who wishes to speak to the board? Is there anyone who wishes to speak? All right, appointments. Moving on, when you are ready for the first appointment. We can take them together, yes, absolutely.
Kewaunee County Library System Board, Mark Kunkel. And Bay Lake Regional Planning Commission, Milt Swagel and Gerald Poppy.
Do I have a motion? Supervisor Kinnard, is there a second? Supervisor Augustine, is there any discussion of that motion? All in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Fabulous. We'll move on to reports as requested. Normally I try to limit it to one report in a month, but this month, well, it just worked out that we are blessed to have two. And Marty is first, and I am sure that this is going to be a scintillating presentation. I've been looking forward to this all day. Could you please get your microphone? It's got to be green. They'll never hear you back in the peanut gallery. There you go. Thank you.
All right. First of all, before I kick off into the presentation, I wanted to bring some awareness to Work Zone Safety Week. So it'll be National Work Zone Safety Week from April 21st to April 21st to April 25th. What's the importance of that, and why is work zone safety in a small county like ours important? Between 2020 and 2024, we had 13 related accidents within Kewaunee, and 3 of them that sustained serious injuries. So just to bring a little bit of attention, slow down in work zones. It's spring season. We're getting into road construction. So I'll leave that as it is. I'll get into the slideshow right away then. I got a request to brief you guys on the renovation project for the highway department buildings. So we'll run through this. I apologize for some of the members who've probably seen some of this information before, but I wanted to start at the beginning, go all the way through it so we bring everybody up to speed so that everybody's aware of where we're at. Okay, so quick overview. We have a problem statement. Our current facilities, we'll talk about the Barrientos work that they did on the facilities, and then why we opted for a new proposal, and then questions at the end. So problem statement, we have increased equipment size and weight, insufficient maintenance shop space, outdated lifting devices, limited storeroom capacity, hazardous material storage is an issue, and the highway shop building condition in general. We'll start with the current facilities. So just for those of you who aren't familiar, this is the layout of the main shop across the road from Bremer Park. You can see the buildings labeled on there. I did print these slides as well, and there's copies up by the corner of the door if anybody wants these afterwards. So we'll talk through the buildings real quick. So the main building, you have a tempered storage facility. So essentially when you say tempered storage, it means it's heated to 32 to 40 degrees, just above freezing to keep stuff in a semi-warm status. Cold storage is below that, the fuel service station, and then sand sheds. We currently have 4 sand sheds on that site, and there's multiple sand sheds at the outlying sites as well. These are the outlying shops. So we have one in Stagglesville, one in Hillside, the hot mix plant, and then one in Algoma. This brings me to Barrientos's work that they did. They've done probably 3 or 4 different studies, multiple soil borings on the site. There was other work done for an initial design and a plan of what to get to. That was started before I took the seat. So one of the big things that they looked at was facility condition assessment and spacing conditions. So this is kind of a list of items that they came up with as they look professionally through our buildings from a design perspective of things that we needed to address. They also did an assessment on the building condition itself. So they noted roof leaks, you'll see on there. Sprinklers was one, flooring, cracks in the walls, air gaps, insulation. These are some of the pictures or some of the things that they identified as you go through them. You'll notice in the pictures, and then there's a description underneath. These are mostly architectural. The roof drains and the roof is one of the primary concerns for me. Facilities, more pictures. Bathrooms, HVAC systems, ventilation. So they looked at the space needs assessment as well. So this basically is taking a general calculation of what areas should be in the shops and then how much space should be there and available for the number of employees and the amount of equipment we have. So they actually took a list of all of our equipment, all of our employees, all of our functions, and that's what drove the needs assessment that they compiled. So if you look at this, this is the needs assessment that they came up with. It talks about heated versus tempered storage, and then it shows you existing square footage, recommended square footage, and then the additional, and then there's a percentage of change on the other side of that. So you can see we're lacking in a lot of areas. Then the final one was the options. So they came up with 4 different options, one of which included building on a new site completely. The other ones are hybrids of renovations on the current site. You'll notice the price tag at the bottom of these slides. 25 million was on the high end, and you got down to 22 million on the low end. So that went to board. This got presented, and I'm sure most of you have seen a lot of this already. That drove me coming into the picture as we were talking about the WPS facility. I got here, I looked at the WPS facility, we looked at size and scope of what was there, and then what we currently have, and then this plan. I spent a lot of time digging into the Barrientos plan, and that drove us to the why of where we're at today. So I wanted to make sure that we had captured all the considerations because I thought as I went through the Barrientos plan that there were some issues that I saw that maybe didn't get captured very well. We tried to right size the scope of that plan, realizing that 25 million is a huge cost for this county and for the size of the shop. So we focused on cost savings, process, and necessary enhancements versus, nice to have. So some things that I noticed that were not or were lacking from the Barrientos plan is our water system. So number one, we make brine right now. Water shuts off in the building when we're producing brine because our well capacity does not keep up with our water flow supply. Roof replacement is a must. The main shop roof is actually comprised of 5 or 6 different roofs that are all spliced together from various additions and things that have happened for the facility. And they're all at least 40 years old, probably. I could not find records for replacement, which means that they were probably done before we went digital, which means that they could be older than that even. There's membranes and stuff that have been patched throughout the years, but a replacement has not been done in a long time. The other one is outline condition of the shops and the other areas. So they looked at the main shop compound, but they never looked at the outlying shops. So Stanglesville, Hillside, the hot mix plant for that matter, all needed to be looked at. There was maintenance issues with those areas as well that hadn't been addressed in the initial plan. Generator condition was another one. We had that storm in Kewaunee and several other power outages throughout the year. The generator has failed almost every time we had a power outage. So that was one I wanted to capture in there. And then capture the full cost of the project because we had not included furniture. We had not included equipment that we were going to need for these new facilities and these renovations into the initial plan. So that 22 million was only to cover the building, and we were going to be left with a brand new building and nothing to go back inside that building unless we started shifting old equipment and old things back into that building. So I wanted to capture those improvements as well, as long as the outlying shops. I was asked to provide a couple pictures of why we needed this and where we were going with it. So pictures are worth 1,000 words, right? So these are our current break rooms. If you look, that one I think is from the Stanglesville shop. That's the bathroom and that's the break room at the main shop. These break rooms and facilities haven't been touched in probably 30 to 40 years. Those picnic tables in that picture are actually old picnic tables from the park that they screwed laminate countertops to the top of. Needless to say, we need to improve a little bit. Hazmat storage and proper storage just in general is lacking and not built to code. This is actually that old barn that I showed you. That's our cold storage. It's a wooden barn with log framing, and that's where our oil is stored. Not compliant in the least. Cranes and lifting and ventilation just in general in the shop. So we right now have an open bay shop with a welding area inside. When we weld or paint in the shop, that goes all the way through the shop. There's no ventilation system that really handles it. You can see in the corner of this picture, there is a small vent there. It's not adequate for what's happening in this picture, nor for the operations that we're doing. And then also the cranes are the other issue. So a lot of the cranes in the shops are undersized for the amount that we need to pick and for the equipment. Some of the cranes are actually also homemade, which is a primary concern, and you can't even get them certified by the state. These are just pictures of the hoists and cranes again. That one pictured in the top picture was built in 1927 as a manual chain operation and hasn't been in use for 15 years because the system is so outdated that we can't get parts for it anymore, and it's not certified for loading. The one on the other side, not the yellow one, but the other one, that's a homemade deal that's hooked up. And then the yellow one just showing you 2 tons, so it's undersized for what it's used for. These are pictures of the outside condition of the shops outside of the main shop. Stanglesville is really the worst, as far as the brick in the exterior. But you can see they're just block walls with no insulation. We're paying fortunes in heating bills and, have issues with every window. The Stanglesville shop actually has several windows boarded up completely because the wall is rotted through around the window. And there's nothing left and the water's pouring inside. The rest of them just need insulation and steel put on. So you can see there's kind of a transition there. The hillside shop's in the best shape. That one has had the outside walls closed in and insulated. Algoma shop, which is kind of in the middle there, had a new roof put on it with insulation, which helped significantly, but needs side walls closed in. Stanglesville needs both. Process of scope setting and how we got to where we're at. So I spent a lot of time going through Barrientos' work, looking through all their considerations. There's a lot of work in that process that was good for us. The soil boring is good. You can keep those reports. The space analysis and the use analysis and some of the issues with the buildings that they identified, that's all good work. The thing that we deviated from in Barrientos' plan is scaling back on what we were asking for to get down to necessities and focusing on a cost-effective renovation approach versus a replacing wholly. We worked with more than 20 different contractors and businesses over the last year to develop a reinvestment plan and cost savings. That meant bringing out construction companies, that meant bringing out engineering companies, and we looked through the buildings and figured out what really needed to be replaced, what needed to be upgraded, and got to the scope of the plan we're at. The purpose of this project is to do what needs to be done in order to catch up with deferred maintenance, update the facilities for modern operations and equipment, and reset the clock on useful life of these facilities. If we don't make some kind of investment in these facilities right now, we are going to start losing these facilities. They are getting to that point. When we lose the roof on the main shop, it's not very much longer before that water starts infiltrating the walls and some of the other areas and causes greater damage. You can see from the Barrientos plan that building new is probably cost prohibitive and will cost us a lot of money. Doing a renovation makes sense. It builds on some infrastructure and gets it so that the investment that the county has made into these facilities can last for a lot longer down the road. Any questions? Yes, sir.
Yeah. Why have we deferred maintenance for so long? I mean, we've known this all along. Why haven't we been updating as we go along?
That's a good question. And I can speak to what I know when I arrived here in July and took over for the position. But the condition of the facility is not great. I would blame some of that on lack of budget. I would blame that on prioritizing work over the care of the buildings, right? If you have a highway budget and you're taking money out of the highway budget in order to cover buildings, facilities, and roads, highway is always going to defer to buying new equipment and doing work on the roads. They're never going to invest in the buildings themselves, which has been a systemic problem. Going forward, I did identify in current budgets and outlays a maintenance plan and dollars for that out of the highway budget to cover continuing costs so that we are always looking at fixing these things and keeping up on them versus getting to the mass balloon payment that we're at right now. Does that kind of answer your question? Yes, ma'am.
So what kind of lifespan are you looking to have on most of the facilities after they are renovated?
So as we currently sit, we have got almost 50 to 100 years out of the facilities as they are currently sitting, depending on the age of what's there. It is not unforeseeable with the proper maintenance going forward that we could get another 50 to 75 years worth out of these buildings. We're putting new roofs on them. We're putting new sidewalls on them. We're insulating. The core of the building is still good. It's a steel building with cement walls. So if we keep up on the roof and we keep up on the other infrastructure and make the utility enhancements, I think we can make these buildings last for a long time to come. Anything else? Okay, I'll wrap it up, and there's printed handouts on the corner there on the chair by the light switches over there. Anybody needs anything?
Thank you very
guys.
much, Marty. And next up is Bug Tussle.
Think so. If not, I will have my technical advisor make sure that I'm doing things correctly. Yes, no? Well, my screen is looking at something different. As we could do it this way. Let's try it this way.
This is the slow part of the meeting.
This is why we have
Is
technology.
this what it's connected to?
Anybody want to lead a song while we wait, or? Yeah, let's pull that one back up. Last night, we had a song about the Kewaunee County Board. Lift high the Kewaunee County Board. Oh, it was on the screens. Nobody was willing to sing it, but it looked like the lyrics were great. Yeah, the lyrics were good.
We did, but we can try it again. I would try that one. Switch over.
If not, we'll-
One's not reading it. Okay.
if
Oh, it was
not, then I'll
great.
just do it verbally.
Spoke very highly
Go
of
off
the
sheet.
board. We were at demonstrating AI, and he put in, write a song about the Kewaunee County Board of Supervisors. And it came back much, much more flattering than I would have expected. It was, I thought.
Well, then you know what? Doesn't matter. We can do it verbally.
Okay,
I can do both. Okay. So. While she's doing that, I'll just do it otherwise. So. What we'll discuss tonight is just, first of all, I'm sorry, because there are two new members that I don't recognize. I'm Scott Felt. I am the Director of Community Affairs for Bug Tussle. For those of you that are new to the board, previously I was the predecessor to Mr. Crawl here. So, well, we might have it.
if an IT company.
In other
can't
words, they
figure it
don't
out.
like my computer is what it is. So, alrighty. So what we will do tonight is basically go over the project, talk about what was built, the assets, how many homes are passed, as well as provide you with some visual aids as to where we are. For those of you that maybe remember, I will go down memory lane. In 2020, we had the wireless project. That was a 2020 grant through the PSC for about $960,000, of which Kewaunee County did a match. That was to construct roughly 6 wireless sites, which have been built. In 2021, we then transitioned over to fiber. That was a $1.4 million grant, of which then the county loaned Bug Tussle $2.2 million, and that was to build approximately 67 miles of fiber. But when it was all said and done, we did 90. So the number of assets that were built is we built we have in Kewaunee County 110 fiber miles that are going through Kewaunee County, middle mile fiber. And we have 9 wireless sites, 9 towers that have equipment up on them. So in other words, how many homes have we passed? Well, the fiber reaches approximately 1,400 people. The wireless towers reach approximately 7,000 people. So within Kewaunee County, that reaches about 8,400 people. Anytime if you need me to answer questions, just shout out. Sure. That is households. That does not guarantee that they are members, or mean that they're customers, but they are passed and can receive service. So if you look here, the wireless tower sites, the circles are the ones that were part of the project, and the 3 triangles are ones that we added in. For those of you that know your history, right down near the bottom, near Tisch Mills, was supposed to be a tower site. But try as we may, we took over 2 years trying to find a landowner that would allow us to locate a tower there, and we could not find a person. And that was part of the reason why we added the extra sites in the county. Yes, Supervisor Shelton. The landowners own the land. We then pay rent. So except for the West Kewaunee, of course, the county owns that, and we put our equipment up on theirs. And in Luxembourg, we bought that tower and the land underneath. So we have a total right now of 9 wireless sites within Kewaunee County. Then from a fiber standpoint, if you look at the solid green line, the solid green line is the project that we got the grant for. The dashed green line was additional fiber that we added to the project. So it came out for a total of approximately 110 miles of fiber in Kewaunee County, which is more than what was promised. So then if you put it all together, part of the reason why we did the fiber was to do backhaul for our towers, which therefore provides greater capacity for those towers and also provides greater service to those residents that have some wireless subscriptions. Questions at all? And we left a map on that basically kind of tells you where everything is from a fiber and a tower standpoint. So what we've done, from Bug Tussle's standpoint, we've completed the project that we had said that we were going to do, both from a wireless and a fiber standpoint. We're proud of what we've been able to do, and I can tell you from a customer standpoint that Kewaunee County is actually one of our most successful counties. When we go as to the number of customers per tower, Kewaunee County has the best average per tower than any other county. And as for the fiber, since it is still new, the take rate is still going well, but we've only been live for a few months, not even a full year, but the numbers continue to look positive. So in that respect, it has been a large success as to what Bug Tussle and Kewaunee County has been able to do together. From a financial standpoint, we continue to make our monthly payments, correct, Paul, at least so far? So we continue to make our monthly payments. So as we had said from the beginning, which is why the board had approved this, is that in the end, you would have now 9 towers, 110 fiber miles, and in the end, you will have all the money that you loaned us back plus interest. So we're very happy with how things have gone. And if there's anything that wants to be done in the future, of course, we're always open for conversations. Other questions at all? Mr. Chair, I'll let you do
Supervisor
that.
Baker?
When you go back to that map, the one we have here,
Yes?
so you had talked about middle mile and last mile and all that.
Yes.
So people who happen to live along the route that fiber takes,
Uh-huh.
they can pay to tap into it?
Yes,
But
sir.
that's the limited audience for that new fiber.
Correct.
Was it primarily put into to backhaul the towers?
Correct, yes.
But then you've
Supervisor.
opened it up to,
Well, we had always said from the middle mile standpoint, and in our grant applications, it was to be middle mile. But we had always said that if you're within, let's say 500 feet, typically it's 500 feet. If you're within 500 feet of the middle mile, that we could splice off and allow you to have service as well. And that's what we've done. We did not do the last mile densification. That's what the BEAD program is for.
Is there another question, Supervisor Brown?
Yeah, in the future, are your plans to connect the East Crock and the Bolt Tower with fiber or, I mean?
Currently, we have no plans in the respect that if the county would like to discuss doing potential connections and create multiple loops within the county, we're open to those conversations. Probably the biggest thing that we were looking for was to try to do more densification within the county. But from the BEAD standpoint, you as a county had decided that you wanted to endorse someone else.
Other questions? Right. Thank you.
Again, thank you. And if there's other questions, please feel free to contact or just let us know.
All right. Administrators report.
Good evening. I will be brief since you've already just had a couple of very nice presentations. Just wanted to update the board. I did attend, along with several other representatives, the Kewaunee Legislative Days, and Senator Jacques, Representative Kitchens, and Governor Evers graciously give their best to you as I did to them on your behalf. It was a good day. Got a chance to raise awareness on some issues specific to the peninsula, and we were pretty well received. The legislature, each member of the legislature or their staff was met with that day by members of the delegation, either from our county or Door. It really went nicely, except for the weather on the drive home, but that's not a big deal. Just wanted to also just keep you up to speed that the state budget is unfolding. Over the next 3 months, a whole lot of work is going to happen that will really bring it into a lot better focus than we have right now. There's definitely a lot of activity in Madison between the governor's responsibility to introduce the budget and then the legislature, is anticipating making significant modifications to it before they pass a bill that then the governor will likely further modify with the veto and or further negotiations. So essentially just I don't have a lot to report on that. Just it's worth your time to watch those processes yourself and reach out to me if you have any concerns or thoughts that we ought to be addressing as that process unfolds. Yeah, I guess I just wanted to put a wrap on that, it's about 3 months from now that the state budget process will wrap up. It passes usually in late June, although ultimately it passes when it passes, but they're working towards a July 1st deadline.
Thank you. Any questions? All right, very well. We will move along. Committee reports. Are there any questions on the reports that you have reviewed from any of the committees? All right. We will move on then. First reading of ordinance, we have none. Consideration of resolutions, and whenever you're prepared.
A resolution approving the Kewaunee County Library Service Plan. Fiscal impact, little to no change, continues following the already agreed upon funding formula.
Is there a motion? Supervisor Shelton, second by Supervisor Baker. Is there discussion on that motion? Supervisor Shelton?
I just have a couple of questions. So my understanding, the Act 420 is the funding that we pay other counties to make up for library usage of our residents in other counties. Is that correct? That's my understanding. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay,
Uh,
so I know that this has been an ongoing concern
Yes.
over the past several years. Do we know if that number has gone down over the past few years, or is it still something that?
It's still a significant amount. However, we have this discussion periodically. This comes up, and at the end of the day, you're not going to come up with anything better. Yes.
For some reason, I couldn't sleep last night, so I looked these numbers up so I can tell her what they are.
You should
Well, I
try
know what the
some,
numbers are, but.
You should
I
try
mean, they've
some.
gone down. We were at 70,000 in 2013 and we're at 35 in this budget. So
You should try some Ambien for that.
this could have worked.
So you said it was 70,000, what year was that?
70,000 and it has progressively dropped to,
Okay.
in the 2025 budget is 35,000.
Yeah, what do you credit that to? I know that the library committee in the past has made a lot of efforts to educate the members of the county. But the reality is there is nothing we can do because to change it, I don't want to go into huge detail on this, but Brown County, we pay. Our residents, particularly Dykesville, those areas, they set up the bookmobile on the county line and play the ice cream truck music or whatever draws children, and we pay. But the only way to change this would be to get legislation passed in Madison, and that is never going to happen.
And
Kewaunee County, surprisingly, has very limited clout in Madison.
weird. So I guess where my question is leading is their outreach to the public to make sure they understand. I know people who's like, well, we can go to Brown County and there's no deficit to Kewaunee County. That's simply not true.
No, that's not true at all.
Okay.
Unless they go and check the book out. I mean, if they go
They
to
can-
Kewaunee County and request it through the Kewaunee County
And it'll be
Library,
delivered to them.
yes, they
Yes.
have, it has the same impact for them. They get what they want, but there's no charge to the county. It's when people who work in Green Bay, for example, go during their lunch hour or whenever to the Brown County Library, check things out there, and then we pay.
Okay, another question I have is with the Act 150 funds, I looked up the statute. I couldn't figure out how much, what is the amount, because it says that we pay 40% of the, at least a minimum of 100% of the Act 150 funding. Do we know what that number is?
Mr. Kunish by chance? Did he take off? No, do we know that number offhand?
Not off the top of my head, but there's a formula we follow. I can send you the worksheet.
I looked it up and, okay,
We follow the statute and then we
I
pay
understand.
them based on that.
Okay.
But what that number is, off the top of my head, I don't
Okay.
know.
But you can get her a very detailed explanation on that, right? Thank you, sir.
And my last question is, do we know who the Kewaunee Library Service Board President is? Who's going to come and give us a report?
Yeah, who is that? Jan, who? Tess?
It's Jan Tess.
Okay.
And I've met with her several times. I'm sure would be more than happy to come and deliver a report, but we haven't asked for it.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Any other discussion? Very well. All those in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Whenever you're ready for the next resolution.
A resolution accepting the $8,389 award of a Homeland Security grant. Fiscal impact in increased 2025 grant revenue and expenditures by $8,389.
Motion by Supervisor Romden, second by Supervisor Baker. Is there discussion on that motion? Very well. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Whenever you're ready for the next resolution.
A resolution approving transfer of funds, unspent and surplus 2024 funds and budgeted funds carryover. Fiscal impact, transfer funds from the general fund, unassigned fund balance to various committed fund balances as stated above. Carryover of 383,455 of unfinished items already budgeted in 2024. No new funding required.
Is there a motion? Supervisor Baker, second by Supervisor Romden. Is there discussion of that motion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Whenever you are prepared for the next resolution.
A resolution to purchase wheel loader, fiscal impact, 301,000 from Highway Enterprise Fund.
Is there a motion? Supervisor Vollenweider, second by Supervisor Poppy. Is there discussion on that motion? All right. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Oppose? All right, only one no, Supervisor Swaggle, and I dare say those are very sophisticated looking goggles you got on there tonight, Supervisor Swaggle. Yes. Okay. Moving on, consideration of ordinance previously read, we have none. Communications, do we have resolutions from other counties? No resolutions from other counties. Do we have Kewaunee County events that wish to be shared or that you wish to be shared? All right, slow month in Kewaunee. Oh, you're holding up the flyer we have. You want to present that, Supervisor Swaggle?
Thank you, Chairman. The Rural Safety Day 2025, Wednesday, May 21st at the Kewaunee County Fairgrounds from 8:45 to 2 p.m. I cut that out. I personally attended last year and some of them, like, is that the one on the top, Jamie? With the crashed one? Is that for, anyway, we're from the State Patrol. They do one with a crash test dummy in there. Oh, Lordy. I mean, he goes flying, the children screaming, hollering. And the children, like the wildlife guy with the snakes and stuff and all this, they're very interested, they do a good job, the presenters or the chaperones and that. And it was fun for me too.
Okay. No trauma suffered by any of the children?
No, nobody was hurt. No casualties. No.
Wonderful, thank you. Any other Kewaunee County events? All right. You have already previously set May 20th and June 17th for future meetings. July 15th would be the proposed for July. Remember, in July, we typically try not to have that meeting. We are scheduling it just in case we should happen to need it. However, at this point, I am fairly hopeful that we won't need that July meeting. So I'm not going to commit myself firmly, but I'm pretty optimistic. Nonetheless, I am. But I've come when I've been on vacation, so my vacations aren't that exciting. Is there a motion? Supervisor Baker, second by Supervisor Poppy. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Motion to adjourn. Supervisor Lazansky, second by Supervisor Vollenweider. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We're adjourned. Thank you.